A very good evening to you, and yes, welcome to The Bottom Line, a wrap of the business news of the day. I'm Frances Hurd, and it feels a bit like deja vu tonight because just 2 days ago we were right here looking at a fall in the shares of South Africa's largest grocer, Shoprite, and our mover of the day is more bad news for the retail sector. Let's bring that up. Mr. Price shares closing the day a whopping 13.7% down, nearly 14% in the red. The budget clothing and furniture retailer reporting a slowdown in sales in the first 4 months of its financial year. It posted a 2.5% drop in those sales. It's struggling to move clothes, which constitutes nearly 60% of sales. Well, earlier, Mr. Price warned that it was anticipating a tough first half of the year, but expected improvements in the second half. The results and what we're seeing today, especially for a retailer that generally promises lower prices, is raising concern about the ability of South African consumers to boost the economy through spending in the shops. The retail sector is a very important indicator of consumer spending, which accounts, by the way, for more than 60% of overall economic growth. Data released by Stats SA earlier showed some improvement in the retail sector for the month of June. Retail sales increasing by 2.4% there, but there were concerns that the increase was not sustainable. Retailers are struggling to boost sales because of the slow economy, high unemployment. Many consumers are squeezed, many are in debt. Earlier this week, of course, Shoprite missed its full year earnings and its shares fell by more than 10%. And our mover of the day tonight, Mr. Price, falling by 13.7%. Now, in other business news, President Cyril Ramaphosa has responded to claims that government's planned national health insurance will harm the South African economy. He was answering questions in Parliament today. Shares in Discovery Health and other medical aid and health groups plunged after the health minister introduced the NHI bill in Parliament earlier this month. The DA and others have argued the bill is problematic and should be rejected. But Ramaphosa says it will be a success. He says government will ensure the bill is passed because South Africa has the resources to give every man, woman and child quality healthcare.
We have learned a great number of lessons out of the experiences that we've been through with our SOEs. We are now committed to improving governance of the running of our SOEs, to improving management and to improving financial management as well. What we can say is that as we reform and rebuild our state-owned enterprises and we improve the architecture, one of the things that we are going to be focusing on is to ensure that we root out corruption of any sort and nature. And when we come to the NHI, we are going to make sure that we keep a hawk's eye on the finances of the NHI as the NHI fund does its work. We will make sure that the lessons that we have learned in our state-owned enterprises, the things that have happened there do not repeat themselves. This is what I can promise you. We will want to run a clean shop in our NHI fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The Honourable van Staden.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. President, I hear what you say about the NHI. But what is your reaction to the fact that certain companies who's listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange lost altogether an amount of almost 14 billion rand on close of business last Tuesday, due to the fact that the National Health Insurance Bill was tabled in Parliament the Thursday before. And because of that, in the interest of South Africa, to prevent any further financial losses in our economy, don't you think it will be better and wise to abolish this program because of the fact that there's now problems in Britain with the NHS system? There was problems in Ireland with the system, and it was abolished 4 years after it was implemented there. And we also saw in the past problems in America. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The Honourable the President.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable van Staden, yes, I did note that a number of companies that are listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange lost some value as a result of the introduction of the NHI bill. And that largely happened because there are people in our country who are against transformation, who are bad-mouthing the national health insurance. They send negative messages, alarmist messages, when we are seeking to ensure that there is social justice. Now, those people don't realize that we could lose everything if we do not introduce a measure like this one. And the loss, and I feel sorry for those who have lost money, but losses on the stock exchange happen from time to time. Sometimes it can take a president of another country to say something and the stock market can be wiped out. Sometimes something positive can be said, it goes up. So that is the vagaries of the market. Now, we cannot say because of that, we should now abandon the 84% of our people who need to gain and benefit from national health care. We cannot say that. We need to come up with programs that are aligned to advancing the interests of the majority of our people. What I do know is that when finally the real facts about the NHI do sink in and people understand what this NHI is all about, those stocks will start going up. And I look forward to you coming back here and saying to me, President, now that people understand NHI, the stocks of those companies have gone up, and I want you to thank me when that happens. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, scenes from Parliament earlier today. Now in company news, Old Mutual is trying to fire Peter Moyo again. It's issued another termination of employment notice to its ex-CEO. In July, the High Court in Johannesburg ruled that Moyo should be reinstated with immediate effect. Then, after Old Mutual fired him without a disciplinary hearing. Moyo was initially sacked in May over an alleged conflict of interest involving investment company NMT Capital.
This is beyond the ridiculous. What you have is a situation of corporate madness. This is a textbook case of contempt of court. The situation has gone beyond anything that we have seen in our lives. What Old Mutual is doing is worse than contempt. It's worse than the delinquency that we're complaining about. Somebody surely must now intervene to save Old Mutual from itself, must save Old Mutual from its directors, must save Old Mutual from self-destruction. We cannot have a blue chip company like that acting in this manner where whatever they are doing is simply to destroy shareholder value. You'll remember that yesterday, Business Day reported that since the suspension of Mr. Moyo, the share price lost almost 17 billion. This new termination will simply further exacerbate the situation. It's just going to get worse.
And we'll continue to follow how that story plays out. Now, petrol attendants are threatening to go on strike in coming weeks if an impasse on salary negotiations with employers is not resolved. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, NUMSA, has condemned the employer organisations led by Fuel Retailers Association and the Retail Motor Industry Organisation. It says they are refusing to engage meaningfully on the demands of workers. Workers are wanting a 12% wage increase. Employers are offering 5%. Well, NUMSA says as part of the wage talks within the Motor Industries Bargaining Council, or MIBCO, their members who work at fuel stations are also demanding a night shift and transport allowance. NUMSA says the current agreement in the industry expires on the 31st of August, and in the absence of an agreement, workers will not receive any increase. The labour organisation says they will be meeting in the MIBCO on August the 29th in a last-ditch effort to resolve the impasse failing which they will call a strike. All right, thank you for being with us tonight. That was the bottom line, a wrap of the day's business news. Stay with the full view, more to come.